Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. As we continue with your top stories and headlines this Saturday morning, the Associated Press reports that most Americans believe health insurance profits and coverage denials share responsibility for the killing of United Healthcare CEO, although not as much as the person who pulled the trigger. This coming from a new poll at a survey at the University of Chicago. In this poll, about 8 in 10 U.S. adults said the person who committed the killing has, quote, a great deal or a moderate amount of responsibility for the December 4th shooting of Brian Thompson. Now, despite that, some have cast Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old suspect charged with Thompson's murder, as a heroic figure in the aftermath of his arrest. A lot to discuss this morning, so let's bring into the conversation Dr. Carol Lieberman. She's a forensic psychiatrist and expert trial witness. Dr. Lieberman, happy holidays to you. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
So a lot to dissect. We're hearing in this poll from both sides of the conversation, some feeling that this murder was justified, others saying it never should have happened. Could you set this up for us, please?
Yes. First of all, it's particularly younger people who are thinking that it is more the responsibility, or a higher percentage think that there's more responsibility from the insurance company, the denial of claims and profits and so on. But still, it's more in a number of polls, it's about half and half. And that surprises a lot of people, which is surprising to me, quite frankly, because 30% of people at least have had problems with health insurance claims in the last year. So what Luigi Mangione did is really touch a nerve. A lot of people who hadn't really been speaking about this before. I mean, there was a movie by Michael Moore in 2007, Sicko. But really, in more recent times, there hasn't been that much of a conversation about it, not to the point of really taking action. And he really has started a kind of rebellion in a sense. So yes, I mean, this problem is a big problem. And of course, they have to make their own profits and all that. But especially with United Healthcare, it has come out that they used AI to deny claims. At least part of their system uses AI. So not even a human being looking at what you're asking for in terms of treatment and whether you should get it, whether that is covered under your policy. So these are really pretty outrageous kinds of things.
Yeah, and as we further discuss this, many people feeling like this incident highlights the grievances that people have towards insurance companies. Obviously, regardless, it still was a murder that took place. But we've seen time and time again, Dr. Lieberman, the lengths that people will go to when it comes to disdain towards insurance, even towards treatment as it relates to hospital staff.
Well, some people are saying that because companies like United Healthcare and the CEO, Brian Thompson, that in the way they're seeing it, they killed people. I'm not justifying by any means. I'm not saying that what Luigi did was right, but I'm just explaining how some people are thinking about this, that it's kind of an eye for an eye. But there does need to be some better looking at healthcare companies. I mean, some of them are fine, but it seems like there's a very unfair or unpredictable way of things getting denied. I mean, certainly, as a psychiatrist, I've had the experience of having patients being denied coverage who really needed it. And it's a horrible experience from the point of view of a doctor, because you want to help the person. And if they can't afford it, there's nothing they can do. I mean, obviously you can, which I do, lower my fee to some degree, but there's a limit. So it really affects a lot of people, the patient, the doctors. It's not the big bad doctors who are trying to withhold coverage.
Well, as we discuss, the mental aspect of this, many of the viewers have been discussing the mental competency of this suspected shooter here that we have on the screen, wondering if this is something that someone would do who has their full mind, or if this was a type of situation where they felt backed into a corner and they just lashed out. What have you seen with your medical expertise with these types of situations, Dr. Lieberman?
Well, I think he does have a good chance of having the defense of not guilty by reason of insanity, because although it hasn't been talked about very much in the media, I've delved into his background, and there are a lot of things that could contribute to his being at the time of the crime not guilty by reason of insanity. Now, the thing that goes against it is the fact that it was obviously very well planned. He had his manifesto and all that. It's not like it wasn't a spur of the moment kind of thing. But at the same time, he is a really interesting guy. He started out, he was valedictorian of his high school class, and he started out, and his students in his high school, private high school, and in his college, University of Pennsylvania, the students confirmed this, that he was incredibly driven. And so he, from a very young age, had a plan to do great things in this world, to help the world. And then he started to have back pain when he was a child. Now, I don't know what the story with that is, whether his parents looked into that enough or what, but that actually is the biggest, he has tremendous back pain, because especially after he had back surgery in 2023. But, it's his roommate and others have talked about how he wasn't able to have sexual relations because he has spondylolisthesis, which is when the vertebrae deteriorate and fall down on nerves, and that can cause all kinds of problems. So that's part of it, and he's being in constant pain. And after he had the surgery, he is in worse pain. And in the prison, the jail where he is, they are sleeping on 2-inch mattresses that are 2-inch thick. And so obviously that's going to exacerbate his pain. Now, I know that was after the killing, but I'm just making that point. He also had, and this was really devastating to him as well, brain fog from having caught Lyme disease when he was 13 years old. And he talked about how when he was in college and he pledged for a fraternity and had Hell Week, that the brain fog exacerbated, and it has been really bad since then. So chronic back pain, really extreme back pain and extreme brain fog, those are two things that he even has said would cut his plans short, cut his ambitions short. And I think he was suicidal. And I think that this was his last hurrah, his last way to try to make a change in the world, to do something that he thought was good, the after effects of people being more aware of the healthcare problem and hopefully doing something about it. And this was his last attempt to do something for the world. He talked about that he read a lot about the Unabomber, or he read the writings of the Unabomber also, and not that he didn't agree with what the Unabomber did. He said that he wouldn't bomb. He thought about bombing United Healthcare. He wouldn't do that because it would affect too many people. It would kill or injure too many people. But what he admired was that the Unabomber had this plan for society, wanted to help society in this way. Obviously he didn't. I'm not endorsing the Unabomber either, but he was a brilliant man, and Luigi was a brilliant young man, and he had all these plans, and he felt cut off. He felt like he wasn't going to be able to do any of that.
Dr. Carol Lieberman, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your perspective and expertise on this topic. I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday season.
Thank you. You too.